But to start, I guess, what do you guys like most about consulting?
I have a very short attention span, and consulting gives you an endless variety of new sorts of businesses and industries and people to engage and problems to solve. So I think that's why I stuck with it. It isn't really the technology at all, it's the problem solving. And the way you solve it is technology. Sometimes it could be something else. I'd probably be just as happy.
The real honest is I'm a foodie. I love to eat, and traveling around the world gives me that appetite. But I've been in operational roles, VP of operations or COO, companies of $100, $150 million in revenue. And the battle that takes place at the executive level in some of these organizations is disappointing. And so taking that experience, but being on the consulting side, dealing with that from a client management perspective is more appealing to me. Plus, I think to Fred's point, I just like the variety. It's a cool industry to be in, to see, and expose yourself to a lot of things.
How about you, Khalid? You started in a non-traditional, well, it's not non-traditional, it just wasn't consulting. You started off in a different industry, and here you are. You go back, get your MBA, end up in consulting. How did you end up here?
To you?
Me? Is that
Yeah. You kind of brought me in fresh out of grad school, but for me, I guess I've worked on the software side. I've worked functionally, but in the consulting, it's less boring, I guess. In the functional world, I found myself with a lot of idle time, and I didn't really know what to do with consulting. I don't have as much idle time, and I do like to solve problems as well, and so it's always different. Like even if you're with a client that you don't want to be with, you don't have to be with them long. It's only going to be a few months, and then you'll get a different client. So it's a revolving door and a revolving set of problems, good problems, bad problems, and so it's always a different challenge in that regard.
Yeah, and Khalid has the distinct advantage or disadvantage, I'm not sure which it is, but of being the only one up here that's worked with me at two different companies, and we've worked together the longest. So it was like 15 years ago we started working together back at Panorama, and then he came to Third Stage years later.
Almost 20.
Yeah, time flies. And then, we'll get to this a little bit more too, but he has a nice balance of the business consulting, strategy consulting, but also the really technical stuff. So I'd say you're probably the most hybrid of the.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be too, though. You have a little bit of a technical background as well, but we all do to some degree. But Khalid has a pretty unique background in that regard. How about you, Nate? How did you end up in consulting, and why did you want to get into it?
I think for me, it's the people and the organizations. And when you start with all the way from a lead that comes in, and you get on the internet, or you start reading about them and how they started as an organization, meeting the people that we work with, and learning their challenges and seeing how companies and organizations have overcome challenges. And then on the flip side, seeing the flip side of the engagements where we come in and we're able to help an engagement that went south, and able to learn from the mistakes that they made and apply those in new engagements. So I just love working with people, and I love working with all the different industries, the different size of organizations, and the different technology that we get to work with.
Yeah. Now, all four of you, I believe, I think this is true for you too, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all four of you have worked for one of the big four consulting firms. Did you?
No, but I did work for a global SI.
Okay, so let's focus on global SI. So all five of us actually have worked for a global SI, very large consulting organizations. How is that different than working at a smaller firm like Third Stage? We're not tiny, but we don't have hundreds of thousands of people. How is it different? I'll let any of you go first. Whoever wants.
We have clients that didn't consider using, I'll get to it, but I'm going to come around a little bit. Didn't think about using Third Stage and, let's say, implementation support, because they do have a large SI involved that can do everything. But what ends up happening is you don't actually hire Deloitte. You sign a document and hope that the people that Deloitte puts on your project are the right people on your project. And that's usually where the fallout from, I want a marquee name associated with the board approving this project. But what ends up happening is that they have the turnstile now. You get the A game up front and it starts cycling through, right? They need the A team to be on another pursuit. They backfill it with folks that aren't meeting the needs of the project, and that falls away. But working with a small team, we've vetted that out, right? You get what you see. And so one of the things that we've talked about this week is that we don't have a sales team. You're looking at it. And so we're responsible for delivery as well. So all of the problems we hear from clients about the handoffs between sales and the implementation team, and then the revolving chair dance with the resources on a project that are multi-year come up, right? And so our team tends to be fairly, if not 100% consistent throughout the whole implementation, and the clients really like that, and you get that with the smaller firms.
Yeah. What about you guys? What's the biggest differences you see?
The ability to scale services and approaches and customize approaches to clients depending on size, culture, budget, preferred approach, and pacing, and so on. It's not practical to do that in a larger consulting organization, even if you want to. The management structures and approval processes and so forth simply don't allow you to do that. Things need to be a lot more templated. So that's one thing, and I enjoy that. The other is, honestly, it's kind of ethical. The company I worked for, and I won't say who it is, was not a very ethical company. I lied a lot, actually. I was forced to lie a lot to clients to get business and pretend that we did things that we couldn't do. And that doesn't feel great. So.
I remember, I don't know if it's, I may have lied early in my career. I don't remember lying, but the thing that bothered me along those lines, the unethical part was something as simple as like getting on a project. Like I remember my first project, they put me on it and there wasn't really a role for me. I had to go figure out like how to create value on this project. And so I'm navigating our own team, like, hey, how can I help? Is there anything I can do? I'm expected to bill 50 hours at this client. And I was spending my time trying to figure out what I could do to add value. And it just felt gross. It was like, I'm billing how much an hour to talk to you guys to figure out what grunt work I could be doing. And then eventually, I mean, it got to the point where I 1 week, I remember early in my career, I was like, I added about 5 hours of value this week, but I billed like 60 because our partner was putting pressure on us. Like the run rate had to get up. So she was actually a really good partner. That was a weird thing is I learned a lot from her and she was a great coach, but at the same time, you were expected to bill all these hours. And that's why, and I remember looking around like at the client, like they're going to figure me out. I'm going to be out of here so fast. But no one ever figured me out. And I thought that's even weirder. The client's not asking questions. I'm clearly, look at me, I'm 23 years old. Clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. So why are they okay paying me this kind of money? So it wasn't lying, but I guess it kind of was, right? I was a fraud, but I was told to be a fraud.
Yeah, for me, it's less trauma. I mean, when you say I've worked with Accenture, I worked with Deloitte. I had some good experiences with both, but it was so toxic. I can't explain to you how toxic it was. And a lot of people, you see their teams. There's a lot more teams, big armies. I had you're working with a build team, 50, people or so. So you have this small contingent, group of folks and people think that they're a team, but most of them hate each other. And so you have this internal culture that's usually at each other's necks. And sometimes that's just a part of the personnel. And sometimes that's a part of the structure of the organization, right? They literally will pitch you against each other. Your bonuses will be based upon who does a certain amount of work or who does a certain thing. And then now everyone's fighting each other to try to do the thing that allows them to get the credit and to get the bonus that they want. So it's like they're not even incentivizing you in a way that's a healthy team culture. And so it turns extremely toxic against each other in just trying to do basic functions that a client is asking you to do. And I don't think a client sees that. Right? You just see the face and they'll smile like, yeah, and close the doors, back to choking each other.
And billing for that time, by the way.
Billing for that time. So it was very weird for me. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't really like it during the times that I was there. There's certain people I'm still really close to from those experiences too. So it's not all bad, but it's just sort of this up and down space on how you're connecting to your teammates, if you want to call them that. and the client themselves. And in this experience, we don't really have. You get along well with smaller teams, tighter teams. You know each other a little bit more. It's just a different vibe, and so it's a little healthier environment for me.
You guys see that TV show? It had Don Cheadle and Kristen Bell. It's
I
called
know,
House of Lies.
Yeah, I literally saw it the other night.
did
I
too,
think I
actually.
brought it up on. I forgot where I was. It might have been during this conference. Someone was referencing something, and I said, "Oh, you're throwing the House of Lies. You're giving me House of Lies vibe or something." I forgot what I said, but yeah,
That's it. I mean, it's all about the
it's
politics
yeah,
of
it's
big consulting firms.
I mean, it's obviously a parody, but it definitely
Rings true in
highlights
some
some
ways.
of the ridiculousness that happens behind the scenes in consulting.
But one thing you can't get away from is the office space vibe sometimes at clients, right? So walk me through your process. They're like, why? Why do you want to know what I do, right? And so
What exactly do you do here?
what do you do?
So you
Yes.
take the piece of paper over to the. No, my assistant does it.
That's actually been missing work.
I manage the person.
Yeah, I manage the person. Yeah, the Bob and Bob.
There you go.